The Vietnam War was a war that lasted from 1955 to 1975. It is currently to date the longest and most unpopular war the Americans have fought. It all started in 1945 when the Vietnamese waged an anti-colonial war against France. Eventually, the French surrendered in 1954 with the peace conference in Geneva. With the peace conference, Laos, Cambodia, and Vietnam received independence, and Vietnam was split into two: Northern Communist Vietnam and Southern Anti-Communist Vietnam. During this time, Vietnamese civilians, under the conditions of the peace conference, were given 300 days to move freely. Nearly 1 million Vietnamese Catholics fled from the north to the south or to America. About 5,200 Vietnamese moved from the south to the north. After this period, the northern government started to attack landowners with heavy taxes and, if not paid, execution in order to take land. Meanwhile, the South formed a government and made plans to resist the eventual reunion of the North and the South with backing by the U.S. The American reason for being involved in the war was the fear that if Vietnam fell into communist hands, surrounding countries will follow. Eventually, Northern Vietnam wanted to bring all of Vietnam into communism. Southern Vietnam, with American support, refused in 1956. The communists were not pleased. In 1958, communist guerrillas called the Viet Cong started to attack the Southern government. To support the South, the United States sent military advisors to the South. Even with support, the South lost critical land to the Viet Cong. In 1965, President Lyndon Johnson sent in heavier support, airstrikes, and troops in the numbers of 500,000. However, the North made a surprise attack called the Tet Offensive, where communist soldiers attacked over 40 cities at the same time in 1968. This led to many Americans turning against the war for fear for the American soldiers' lives. The following president, Robert Nixon, withdrew troops from Vietnam in response. However, in 1970, Nixon sent troops to destroy supply bases in Cambodia. This violated the Cambodian neutrality, leading to protests against the war. Eventually, in 1973, an agreement was reached, which saw American troops and American prisoners of war were released. This led to the South surrendering to the North in 1975 when their capital was free. The results of this war were not pretty. 400,000 American troops killed and 3.1 Vietnamese killed. Northern Vietnam is victorious. Vietnam is now fully communist.